So before I actually start explaining this particular problem, let's backtrack a little bit and understand some concepts for imaginary numbers. And this really applies mostly to the SAT, and I'm teaching you to the SAT. So try to I hate saying this, but try to cram some of these things for imaginary number problems. So first things first, if you see an imaginary number and it's in a fraction form, the SAT is expecting you to put it in A plus BI form. Okay, so that's one thing to keep in mind. Don't worry too much about what that means, but just understand for now, if you see something in a fraction, we have to convert that into A plus BI form. Okay, now let's hop over to this side. Secondly, let's understand what conjugate pairs are. So if I have 2 plus 4i, the conjugate pair will just be 2 minus 4i. Conjugate pair might sound scary, but all it is you see how that's plus 4i? It became negative 4i. So this one, for example, would be 3 minus I. And this one would be, since it's a 1 plus 2i, it would be 1 minus 2i. And lastly, this one, see how that's 2i? So that would become negative 2i. So number 2, understand what conjugate pairs are. And look at that, I've kind of messed this up. So hopefully that fixes it. There you go. Let me get this out of the way. Sorry. So secondly, like I was saying, understand what conjugate pairs are. All right. I think it's time to go to the problem now. Yep. So let me get this stuff out of the way and let's bring the problem up. See how I have 3 divided by 4i? That's the problem. It's in a fraction form. If it's in a fraction form, what you need to do is multiply the top and the denominator by the conjugate pair of the denominator. So see how this is the conjugate, the 4i is the denominator. I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom by negative 4i, because that would be the conjugate pair of 4i. So let's do that. 3 times negative 4i is just negative 12i. 4i times negative 4i is negative 16i squared. This brings me to the last thing that you want to memorize for these imaginary problems, is that I squared equals negative 1. See how the problem tells you that I that's an ugly I equals square root of negative 1. So if I square this side and I square this side, so I squared, that square gets rid of that square root and you're left with just negative 1. So this is the fact that you want to memorize, is I squared equals negative 1. So wherever I see an I squared, which is what it is over here, I'm going to replace that with negative 1. So let's do that. So I have negative 12i in my numerator, and now negative 16 times negative 1. So that leaves me to the next step, which will be just negative 12i divided by negative 16 times negative 1, positive 16. And now I'm just going to reduce this fraction. 4 goes into 12 and 16. So that's negative 3i. 4 times 3 is 12. And 4 times 4 is 16. So for my final answer being negative 3i divided by 4, which looks like it's answer choice A.